Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're decoding the hidden ethical machinery that's operating right behind the scenes of our favorite apps, smart devices, and online services. We tap, swipe, and scroll through these tools every single day, often without a second thought about the massive social, economic, and moral consequences they carry. So let's peel back the curtain. Right off the bat, we have to ask, is technology actually good or is it bad? It's kind of the multi-billion-dollar question at the heart of our digital lives, right? But it's vital to remember that technology itself doesn't have a moral compass. It's just a mirror of human intent. It can cure diseases, or it can be used to harvest our most private moments. Ultimately, it all comes down to exactly how we design and deploy it. To get to the bottom of this, we've got a roadmap. We're going to look at the tech ethics paradox, how AI powers all of this, dive into privacy and cybercrime, explore the biological divide, and then wrap up with how we manage this responsibly and what the future looks like. Let's jump in. All right, part one, the tech ethics paradox. This is where rapid innovation clashes directly with human intention. Think about it. When a disruptive tech, like digital wallets, smart buildings, or self-driving cars, hits the scene, it fundamentally flips our daily habits almost overnight. The catch? This growth is so incredibly fast that government regulations and ethical rulebooks are just left eating its dust. We're basically playing catch-up with our own brilliance, frequently realizing way too late that we completely forgot to read the terms and conditions. Moving right along to part two, AI and its core enablers. This is the real engine of modern disruption. Now, artificial intelligence isn't just floating around in a vacuum. It actually leans on a massive ecosystem of enablers. We're talking big data, blockchain, drones, and robotics. Essentially, these act as the hands, eyes, and ears that let AI mimic human behavior and actually take action in the real world. But wow, talk about a double-edged sword. On one hand, the benefits sound like a utopia. Automating boring tasks, getting seamless customer service at 3 a.m., or even spotting cardiovascular disease risks using your DNA. Pretty amazing, right? But then you absolutely have to weigh that against the dystopian reality. We're staring down widespread job elimination, and worse, AI actually inherits our human biases. For example, facial recognition tech has been shown to falsely identify Asian and African American faces up to 100 times more often than white faces. That's a massive, massive problem. And we see that exact same push and pull with drones and robotics. Yeah, it's great that a robot can handle hazardous waste, map out environments super fast, or drop off vital medical supplies in rural areas, keeping humans out of harm's way. But on the flip side, they introduce the very real threat of accidental civilian surveillance and machines making split-second choices without an ounce of human common sense. Which brings us to part three, privacy, data, and cybercrime. Let's talk about the dark side of being so connected, focusing on the most valuable currency out there, your personal data. Just look at these numbers. A staggering 81% of Americans feel they have zero control over how companies scoop up their personal info. On top of that, 81% believe the risks of companies collecting this data totally outweigh the benefits, and nearly 80% are just flat out concerned. This massive gap in trust is honestly a glaring ethical failure by the tech industry. Because people are so fed up, the law is finally stepping into the ring. You know those browser cookies you just blindly click accept on? They trace your digital footprint from site to site, building a whole profile on you. To fight back, we've got heavy-hitting rules now, like Europe's GDPR, which slaps companies with massive financial penalties if they don't get clear permission. And here in the US, COPPA is hunting down tech platforms that illegally harvest data from kids under 13 without parental consent. But it's not just about what companies collect legally. It's about what happens when the bad guys break in. Cybercrime is booming, and the fallout is like a domino effect. One little phishing scam or malware attack doesn't just lose a business some quick revenue, it triggers an absolute landslide. Reputational damage, forensic costs, stolen intellectual property, and huge regulatory fines. A single breach can devastate 100 million people at once. Okay, let's step away from our screens for part four, bioethics and the divide, because this tech boom isn't actually reaching everyone equally in the physical world. We call this the digital divide. Right now, over 20 million Americans completely lack home internet. Lower-income families are quite literally priced out. And think about what that means. If you're cut off from the web, you're severely disadvantaged when it comes to online learning, modern telehealth, and remote jobs. Sure, 5G rollouts and some corporate programs are trying to slowly patch the hole, but this gap is still incredibly deep. And this divide spills right over into bioethics. We have the mind-blowing tech to create life-saving gene therapies and custom biomanufactured drugs. But here's the reality check. When a single treatment costs upwards of $2 million, we aren't just talking about economic inequality anymore. We're looking at a system that creates a literal biological advantage exclusively for the wealthy. So, considering the digital divide, the biased AI, and the privacy breaches, how do we actually pull society back from a tech dystopia? That's part 5, managing tech responsibly. The short answer, companies have to stop treating ethics like an afterthought they just dump on the IT department. It has to be in their culture. This realization has actually sparked the rise of a brand new executive role, the Chief Privacy Officer, or CPO. They are specifically hired to build strict data policies, handle crisis management when things inevitably go wrong, and make sure consumer trust isn't just thrown out the window. Practically speaking, businesses need a tangible checklist, like this tech assessment framework. Before launching something new, they have to ask the hard questions. Do we have ethical rules established for this AI? How will this impact our stakeholders? And if we say our data is anonymous, are we absolutely sure bad actors can't re-identify it? It forces a company to explicitly weigh the shiny new benefits against the potential harm. Which brings us to our final stop, part 6, the future of tech ethics. Where exactly do we go from here? Well, we're sprinting into the 5G and Internet of Things era. Machines are talking to machines at a rapid pace. And because 5G handles so much massive data transfer, literally everything, your car, your fridge, your smartwatch, is constantly gossiping about your habits. It's super convenient for sure, but it also turns digital privacy into an urgent daily battle against unprecedented surveillance risks, not to mention the ongoing debates about the biological health impacts of all these new network frequencies. To survive this massive shift, the heavy hitters, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, IBM, are scrambling to lay down the law for themselves. They're publicly declaring that their AI will be fair, testable, and unbiased. Which sounds amazing on paper, right? But the true test is whether they'll actually strictly enforce those morals when billions of dollars in profit are on the line. There's a quote here that really hits the nail on the head. Technology is created, and then business takes it and applies it to make profits. If business does not foresee the social ramifications, an outcry begins. It perfectly sums up why ethics cannot be a band-aid. We have to bake it right into the blueprint of every single technological frontier we cross. Otherwise, the damage to society is just going to be too immense to reverse. So I'm going to leave you with one final pivotal question to chew on. Do the positive changes of technology truly outweigh the costs? As AI, drones, and big data weave themselves deeper into the fabric of our daily lives, I challenge you to recognize that you have a part to play too. Be an active, critical thinker. Demand transparency, guard your data, and always question the true intent behind the innovation. Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer. Keep learning, and we'll see you next time.